Hi everyone, welcome back. Now that we understand the fundamentals of OAuth, let us also understand what is connected app or what is external client app. So Salesforce has now removed the option to create new connected app, and they are delivering the same feature with the help of external client app to provide extra support and to provide extra security. This is a new way, or you can say a new generation of connected app. Okay, so we'll be using still term called connected app, but then you can understand that this is external client app now, no connected app in Salesforce. Even when we create the new connected app, you will see that we'll not have an option and we'll have to create a new external client app. Okay, but the concept remains same, so we sometimes might be using the same term interchangeably. Okay, so a connected app is how you register your external applications like SAP with Salesforce. So, for example, let's say your SAP system is trying to access data from Salesforce, hitting the Salesforce API. So, before actually hitting, Salesforce need to register SAP as a connected app or as an external client app inside Salesforce. Okay, so before providing access to Salesforce, Salesforce first need to know that which external app is trying to connect. Is that application is legitimate and approved? What is the application allowed to access, and where should Salesforce send the response back to? Like, in order to be able to communicate, we need to send responses and tokens to the other system. So where do we need to send those things? Okay, so all of these things or answers of each of these questions will be provided by the external client app or connected app. Okay, connected app provides you a unique identity for the external application. We call it client ID. Along with that, it provides the client secret. There are various settings related to OAuth which handles the authentication and authorization. We also control what the application can access with the help of scope, and then there are various security settings and policies which controls the overall security. Okay, so connected app is very important from the integration point of view. Okay, so we will briefly discuss what does an external app do, and then we will talk about the various settings and options available inside the external client app, and at the end we will try to understand the flow and we will create one sample external client app. Okay, so when we talk about what does an external client app do, first, see, before SAP can talk to Salesforce securely, Salesforce need to know four things. Okay, who is the application? Is that application legitimate? What it is allowed to do? And how should the security rules works? Okay, so these all basic questions need to be answered. Okay, and we know that these questions will be handled by the connected app, or answers is hidden inside the connected app. First one is identifies the application. When we create a connected app, Salesforce generates a client ID, also known as consumer key. Okay, Salesforce uses this client ID to locate the correct connected app, load its configuration, and apply its security policy. Okay, it does not prove that application is genuine. It only tells Salesforce that who is claiming to connect to Salesforce system. Still, there is no guarantee that it's a genuine request. Okay, so the second steps comes in, which is authenticates the application. Okay, now how this works? This works with the help of client secret. Client secret proves that this is really SAP, not someone else pretending to be SAP. So SF verifies that, okay, does this secret matches with the one stored in the connected app settings? If yes, then Salesforce issues an access token. But if not, then your request will get rejected. So this happens in the step 2. Okay. Then we have defined permissions. Okay. Inside connected app, we have options to define the permission. Okay. Even if SAP is a valid app, we must control what it can access. We cannot randomly provide access to everything. So this is done with the help of OAuth scopes. OAuth scopes defines what API can be used, whether refresh token will be allowed or not, whether you will have full access to application or not. So all those permission related stuff will be handled in the OAuth scopes. So with the help of a scope, we kind of control what that particular application will be able to access. What you need to remember here is that scope implements at the principle of least privilege. So only provide a scope which is absolutely necessary. Do not randomly give access to the higher privileges which is not needed. So for example, if someone just need to read your data, do not try to provide them full access. Okay. And then comes in the OAuth setting, configurations related to OAuth setting. Here there are various settings like callback URL, token policies, IP relaxations, session timeout, and security requirements. We will be talking about them in detail shortly. Okay. And uh, we know that what are client ID and secret, but then let us also talk about them. Client ID and client secret both will get generated once we create the connected app. So we will see, once we create the connected app, you will see how a client ID and client secret look like. Once you create it, you will have to provide this client ID and client secret to the other system who is trying to access the Salesforce. So in this case, you have to provide these client ID and client secret to SAP, and in order for them to be able to access Salesforce, they need to use this. They need to send these things in the URL parameter. Then only Salesforce will be verify that. Okay, so we will create it shortly and we will talk about it. Okay, there are a couple of settings we will get in the once we enable the OAuth. Okay, let's talk about it first and then create it. Okay, so first one is enable the OAuth setting. Okay, we have to enable, or we have to tell the application that we want to use OAuth for authentication and authorization. Okay, because without enabling it, Salesforce will not generate a client ID. OAuth flow cannot be initiated and no token based authentication is possible without enabling it. Once we enable it, the moment we enable it, Salesforce generates a consumer key or client ID, and then we can define a callback URL. Callback URL is nothing but a URL where Salesforce will be sending the access token. Salesforce will be sending the authorization code. Okay, I will talk about that in the flow when we discuss the flow, so don't worry about it. Okay, so it is important for us to enable the OAuth setting if we want to use Auth 2.0 for the authentication and authorization. Okay, yes. So this checkbox just activates the OAuth capabilities for the connected app. Then we have defining scopes. We just saw what is a scope and what it controls. OAuth scopes defines what the external app is allowed to access. There are a couple of common scopes are like API, refresh token, full access. We will see it in detail. Don't worry about it. We will go on screen and we'll create it. Okay, so one important thing you need to remember here is scope does not grant data access. They only define the maximum possible access. Actual data access is still controlled by profile permission sets and sharing rules. So your object level security and the record level security. Okay, they just define the upper limit of what is maximum you can access. Okay, the only rule here is that only enable scope that are absolutely required. Do not unnecessarily provide extra permissions. Okay. Then we have a refresh token policy as well. This setting controls the life cycle of a refresh token. Okay, a refresh token allows the application to get a new access token without forcing user to log in again. Now two terms, access token and refresh token, might confuse you. Don't worry, we'll have a separate session on access token and refresh token. This will be clear to you, but for now just understand that the moment Salesforce provides an access token, Salesforce also provides a refresh token. Because access token is a short-lived token, it will expire soon. The moment it expires, external system can use the refresh token provided by Salesforce first time and then can request the new access token with the help of refresh token. Okay, so that is why refresh token plays a very important role. If there are couple of options in the refresh token policy, like we can choose that refresh token should never expire until we revoke it, or refresh token should expire if it is not used for, let's say, 180 days, or refresh token should be expire after 100 days. So we can have these options, but remember, refresh token, if it is not expiring at all, then if someone gets the refresh token, they will be able to get the new access token. So it is very important that we store refresh token very carefully. We do not expose it, or we do not take it lightly, okay, because it's related to the security. We will have a session on refresh token and access token, so don't worry about it. This is just to tell you that how we enable the OAuth and what are the different options we have. We will have a detailed session on each and everything, so don't worry about it. Okay, then we have IP relaxation. From the name itself, this controls how Salesforce enforces the IP restrictions for OAuth request. Okay, typically if you enforce it, then request must originate from a trusted IP range. If you do not, then there will be no IP restrictions. There will be couple of options, couple of check boxes like require secret for web server token or enable refresh token rotation. Require secret for web server token tells you that whenever this setting ensures that the client secret must be verified during the token exchange step. Generally, without it, will not be re-verifying the client secret. If we have the authorization code, that should be sufficient. But if we check this checkbox, then we'll also have to provide the client secret along with the authorization code. Okay, so we will discuss more on this when we go through these flows, different flows, and practically try to implement it with the help of Postman and try to hit the Salesforce API. Then things will be more clear to you. Just we are just covering it so that you know that there is something like this. Okay, and then the last one is enable the refresh token rotation. This is very important. This is the advanced security feature. When you enable it, every time SAP uses a refresh token, Salesforce issues a new refresh token and it invalidates the old one. Why it is important? Because without rotation, if someone steals a refresh token, they can keep using it until it expires or is revoked, and that will be a big security risk. So if you enable the refresh token rotation, that significantly improves your security. Okay, now let us go to Salesforce and try to create one connected app and then see how it works. Okay, so now I want to create a new connected app. So I am in Salesforce, and here if I type the connected app, there'll be no such option. What we need to do is, let's say if you go to app manager or you write the external client app manager, you will come here and then you'll have to click on new external client app. So you will do that. This is the basic information you will have to provide, so you can provide anything. My test external app. I am going to put my email ID. So distribution state will be local. If you want to publish it as a package, then maybe you can use package, but we'll be using the default one. Phone number and info URL is optional. You can also optionally choose logo, image, or something. So let's say if you are searching or connecting with SAP, those options logo will already be here. If you scroll down, there will be many options available. If you are connecting with Citrix, or if you are connecting with Gmail, if you are connecting with Outlook, every option will be there, all the renowned apps and everything. So somewhere SAP will also be there. Yes, you can use these logos if you want to use it. Okay, so Let's click on create, and then there will be multiple settings. From settings, if you go, there will be an option for OAuth setting. Here you first need to enable it. So let's click on edit, and you need to enable it. The moment you enable, then there will be app setting options will be visible to you. You have to provide the callback URL. You will have to provide the scopes. Callback URL is a URL where Salesforce will be redirecting you after the successful login and verification, so that authorization code will be provided there. So maybe you can just put anything right now. Example.sap.com, and then here there are different access available. Maybe if you provide full access, you just provide the refresh token access. All those options will be there for you. So maybe you can check what you want depending on what is needed. Okay, refresh token is very important, because then the application will be able to use the refresh token to get the new access token. Okay, do not worry about the other options. We will understand them in detail when we go through the flows. There are different flow enablement options available, so that which flow you want to use depending on what kind of integration you are doing. There are various types of flows available: client credential flow, JWT bearers flow, token exchange flow, authorization code and credential flow. Okay, you can also enable multiple. Okay, so you can enable multiple, and then in that case this connected app will be available to use by that multiple flows as well. Okay, so that is possible. For now I'm not going to use multiple, maybe just authorization code and credential and client credential flow. Do not worry about it. We are going to go through them in detail one by one. Don't worry about them. Trusted IP range, this is the IP restriction I was talking about. If you want to add the IP ranges, you can do that. If you don't want to do that, that is completely fine. There will be no IP restrictions. All right, so once you save it, you can see that consumer key and secret will be available now. If you click on it, it will ask for you to verify verification code. Maybe let me just get the verification code and verify it, and then you will have your consumer key and consumer secret. You can copy them and you can provide this to external system. When we test it with the help of Postman, we will be adding these in the Postman, and will hit the Salesforce authorization API and all those things in our practical sessions. So for now, just remember that consumer key and consumer secret will be created here. Okay, so with the help of, and you need to store it, you need to store them so that they are here. Okay, and they are OAuth setting default. For now there is no need to go through them. There are OAuth policies. Yeah, here you can see that refresh token policy is there. Refresh token is valid until revoked, expires refresh token after a specific time, and here we have given it 365 days. Depending on what kind of integration you are doing, depending on what is the other system, what is the security in other system, you can choose what you want to do with the refresh token. Why I'm not digging deeper on refresh token, I'm yet to explain the access token and refresh token. So don't worry, when we do a session on refresh token and access token, I will again come back here and will explain you each and every option. Okay, I don't want to make it too complicated, as this is just the introductory session on connected app, but that's how we are going to do. Okay, and then the last one is how we are going to actually do it, or how the actual flow works. Okay, so let's try to see the how the flow actually works. Okay, so for that, what I'm going to do, I am going to create a maybe flow chart. Okay, so now let us try to understand the whole authorization flow. Okay, how it works and what are the different tokens and who initiates the transaction, all those things with the help of a maybe a chart. Okay, so we have two system. Okay, one is Salesforce and other one is SAP. Let's call it SAP, and this one is Salesforce. So what do we need to do in Salesforce? First, create a connected app. Okay, this is step one. It will give us client ID and client secret, and we will give this to SAP and they will store these things in their system. Okay, so step 2 will be that SAP stores these cred. Okay, now whenever SAP need to initiate the authorization flow, what it will do, it will initiate the transaction, so it redirects users browser to Salesforce auth endpoint. Okay, so there'll be a Salesforce OAuth endpoint slash authorization, and SAP will provide the client ID, redirect URI and scope. This is step 3, where SAP will be initiating the transaction by hitting the Salesforce authorization endpoint. Okay, here when this request will hit the Salesforce OAuth authorization endpoint, Salesforce will look for the connected app with the help of this client ID. It will load the connected app configurations. It will validate the request. By this time, authentication has not been done yet. Okay, now after verifying the client ID and scope and everything, Salesforce will move to the resource owner authentication. Resource owner authentication means user will be prompted to log in if user is logged in for the first time. Okay, or if user has not already logged in, and Salesforce will authenticate the username, password, other things like MFA, SSO, all those settings. If user is accessing this for the first time, then there will be a consent screen provided, whether you want to allow SAP to access your Salesforce data or not. And if user approves and if login is successful, then Salesforce generates a authorization code. Okay, all this is happening in step 3. An authorization code will be generated and redirect to the browser. Now here Salesforce will redirect user to the browser back to SAP's callback URL. Whatever callback URL you have described in the connected app, in that URL Salesforce will put the authorization code and will redirect user to that URL. Now authorization code will be received by SAP. Okay, so SAP will now have the authorization code. What SAP need to do is, now SAP's backend server will direct a call to Salesforce token endpoint. It was the authorization endpoint here. Now Salesforce SAP will call the OAuth token endpoint with the help of authorization code. It has client secret, redirect URI and couple of other things. Okay, here Salesforce again will validate if this is a valid authorization code. If it is an unused authorization code, it will also validate if the client secret is valid. It will match it with what Salesforce has stored in the connected app, and if everything passes, then Salesforce will provide the access token. Okay, so Salesforce will then give it the access token. Not only the access token, if the scope allows, then it will also provide the refresh token. Now SAP will get access token and refresh token. Now SAP will hit the Salesforce API, whichever API it was trying to access. Let's say there is an API called get accounts. With the help of this access token, Salesforce will be able to hit this API directly. Now SAP do not need to put the client secret or authorization code or client ID, any of these things in the call, because it already has the access token. So it will be able to access the get account API directly. Okay, so whatever it was happening, it was just to get the access token. The moment SAP gets the access token, it will be able to hit the API. If everything else is valid, and if you are requesting a valid scope, and if the method and everything is fine, then it will be able to get the data from the get account API. Now there is a concept of refresh token. So access token gets uh, invalid or expires in, let's say, 2 hours. So in that case, if it expires in 2 hours, and after 2 hours if SAP tries to hit the get account API with the help of same access token, then you will get the bad response. In that case, you again need to provide this refresh token to the token endpoint, and if refresh token is valid, then Salesforce will again provide the access token, and then you can get the new access token and use that to get again hit the get account API. Okay, so this is the basic flow. This was just to explain these how it actually happens, how external system tries to get the data from Salesforce, try to hit the API, how authorization code get generated, how access token gets generated. Now again, there are concepts like access token, refresh token, authorization code, which I have not explained yet. Okay, so I am not expecting you to fully understand this. We will again take a step back, try to break these concepts into smaller chapters to understand these tiny units, and then again we will use Postman to understand each and every flow. So this is the authorization flow. We will understand each and every flow before moving to the actual integration. Okay, so I'll meet you in the next video with the smaller concepts of refresh token and access token in a single session. Thank you everyone.